All right, Derek. We are very close to the World Cup. This is our last camp. It's hard to believe it's already March, man. It's almost the end of March. We got two friendlies.
Yep.
We got 3 friendlies left in general, and we got 2 in this camp. We have Portugal and Belgium. Hard to believe we're here. We're going to talk about a lot of things today about heading into this final camp. Are you feeling nervous more as time's going on? Are you feeling a little, more at ease? Like, what's your feelings as of right now? MLS Moves is presented by FanDuel, our proud sponsor of the channel. And I also want to say, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you give it a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of our videos. Now, back to the video.
I don't feel either of those things. I'm just really curious to see where this goes from here. So curious would be my word of the day. I don't think losing to both of the teams, depending on how we lose, if it's a blowout, then that's horrible. Yeah. And I don't think winning necessarily. Either way, I'm really looking to see, is this team still coming together like it did against Uruguay? And are things flowing? Does the team look fluid? Are the players still seemingly connected? That's what I want to see. I want to see that continue from the Uruguay game. And if I see that, I'm going to be fine. But if, I don't know what we're going to get. I really don't know if it's going to be what we saw more recently, or we're going to freak out and regress. I'm curious, but I'm not worried either way. We're qualified for the World Cup, so we're going. And this is next to the fact that Dest isn't here, and you're missing Haji Ray. I don't really think that. I think this is the full team for the most part. Maybe 1 or 2 changes. I'm sure you'll get into that, but yeah, I think just curious to see how it goes. I'm too old to panic or worry or waste a single minute of sleep on that. I can't do it.
No. I mean, whatever happens is going to happen, right? Regardless of how we feel about it.
I'm not in control of it. Yeah.
We're not driving. We're not behind the wheel on this.
Exactly.
So you said that you're curious, right? You said you're wanting to know what team is going to show up for these friendlies. It's going to be an earlier version of Poach. It's going to be the most recent version of Poach's, like the teams have been performing. But so how would you say, if you just had to put a number on it, like 1 through 10, just based on right now, March 25th, 2026, how would you rate your confidence about this team right now prior to this camp?
I'd give it around a 7. I'm not going up in the 8, 9, 10 area, anywhere near that. But that's taken in consideration that pretty early back, not too long ago, I was at a 4, right? So 7's good, 6.5, 7, somewhere around there. I feel like since we've moved to a back 3, things have looked a little saner and compact, and it flows better. We look free. Nobody looks too joysticked or overly joysticked. So I kind of feel like there's some progress that we've made recently that I want to see continue in these 2 friendlies, just so I feel like, okay, we got some flow going into the World Cup. Although, we've seen other teams play games and friendlies before World Cups, and they've gone on to win World Cups after stinking it up. So, again, important. Yes, I want to see players like Johnny Cardoso. What's he going to look like? Is he going to freak out? Is this too much pressure for him? We'll find out.
Yeah, I'd say I'm about a 6. What I'm curious about is, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first European team, if I'm not mistaken, that Poach has faced with the USMNT, right? I don't think have we had.
We played the Swiss too.
The Swiss, that's right. No, you're right. We did play Swiss. We played Turkey too. That's right. We played Swiss and Turkey. Yep. But this is like the heavy hitters. Like we've never played anybody like this to this level. Most of our heavy hitters have been South American teams we played. You're right. We did play Switzerland, Turkey before the Gold Cup.
Those are no shrinking violets. I will say that.
No.
But this isn't really your grandma or even your dad's Belgian, right, team.
Yeah.
So this isn't like golden era Belgium, but they'll be tough. They got some great players. Portuguese team, that'll be a bigger challenge. We'll see how that goes.
Well, and the reason I say that is because I think, and when I say we're going to get into expectations from this camp of who we're playing, but my dark horse to win the World Cup is Portugal. I think they're very good. Like, I'm not saying they're the favorite. I think that they are right there in the mix. I'd probably put them. If I had to pick my two teams that I think are most likely to win the World Cup, I would probably say Spain and Portugal are my two teams. So you're potentially playing a team that a lot of people might think is going to win the World Cup. I still think they're a dark horse. I don't think a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people are predicting to win, but they very well could. They got the talent to do it. They definitely got the talent to do it.
They certainly have the talent. There's no doubt about that. So, yeah, I'd say I'd put them in the top 8, 10 teams that could actually have the potential to win the World Cup. You could slim it down, but, the World Cup's a funny thing. Not many teams have won it. So Portugal certainly hasn't.
Yeah.
Certainly I put my money on Spain right now.
Yeah.
Or even France, honestly. So we'll see what happens.
Well, and the reason I say that is because this is what's going to battle test us we're going to have to play someone like this if we want to go anywhere. Like, we're going to have to play a team of that caliber. And I'm glad that this is a team we're playing. I'm glad we're not playing some BS game. In the last camp like you said, even if it's not your grandfather's Belgium, it's still I'd still say Belgium is one of the top 15, top 12, 10 teams in the world. I think they are still.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And so this is by far, even still, this is by far the hardest camp he's ever had. These are the best teams he's ever played in the camp, I think, by far.
Uruguay are a good team too. So we just came off beating their butts. So let's see if that translates. The one thing that we saw, at least in that game, was a real freedom and flow. And yeah, that's what we're looking for going forward, regardless. This still is, we're not playing Spain. We're not playing Argentina. Like, that's another level yet still. But these are teams that I think are both beatable. Heck, even in Portugal's golden era, we managed to beat them. Remember, in 2002. Anything, I suppose, is possible. But these two teams, I think, are within the very good realm of tying or even winning. We could lose against both, but that's possible too.
Okay, so that poses my next question. What do you think the expectations are for this camp? Like, what are you obviously you'd like to win, but I don't think that's the end all be all. Like, it's more, I think, like me personally, if we see some growth, some confidence, some play where we're like, okay, we can hang with these guys. What are you looking forward to? Like, what are you trying to get out of this?
I think if you are someone that's been following the team for a while, you're a little nervous about the back line, and you're worried and you're concerned about the goalkeeping. That's where my main concerns lie. How many goals are we going to leak making errors out of the back, or who's going to not be able to cover their space? We're talking about a 38-year-old center back, Tim Ream, who is by far the best passer out of the back that we have. That's his big plus. But there are a lot of big minuses. I've been watching a lot of MLS lately. I'm a little concerned about Tim Ream. Richards could cover for a Ream error. There's no Adams coming, so we won't have that kind of coverage that you would get. Adams would drop as far back. He'd look like another center back. So that's where my main concern is. And that's where we need to show we're not going to be leaky, that we're going to be solid, that we're not vulnerable, that Matt Freese isn't going to have a nervous moment. He's not going to under coverage or over coverage, or he's going to make a mistake with his feet. I think if you're worried about players that are nervous, I think that's where that's going to happen, because there is a serious battle for that third CB spot behind Richards and Ream. So you might see an error there. You might see an error in the goalkeeping spot. I think going forward, I feel relatively okay about that. I'm a little concerned from Cardoso because he is going to have so much pressure heaped on him. So expectations-wise, I want to see Cardoso put up a good game and make a case for himself. And if he doesn't, he's not going to make the World Cup team, I don't think. And in the back line, I want to see some cohesiveness. I want to make sure Jedi, whoever's playing left back, which I imagine will be Jedi, that there's coverage for Ream, that he's not going to be exposed, because these are the kind of teams that can expose that. And if they can expose it, you can bet your apples that once we get to the World Cup and we're in the deeper stages, we have to play another Belgium again, they're going to know where the weaknesses are. They're going to focus on it. They're going to rip it to shreds.
Yeah, I think one of my expectations for this is I just want to see our starting 11, like our ideal, because we have not got to see our ideal starting 11 play together hardly ever in the Poch era. It's normally makeshift. A couple guys are out here, there, some guys don't show up, whatever the case may be. I want to see, my expectations are to see them playing the best football we've seen in the Poch era. Like that's what my expectations are for this. And I'm not saying that that's going to result in a win or, a throttling or whatever, but that's what I want. My expectations, I think a lot of people should expect. You don't want to see four fringe players or four bench players starting again against these friendlies. You want to see the guys, the big dogs get tuned up for the World Cup, right? So that's my expectations. And that leads me to my next question. Can these games change our confidence? You mentioned that in past World Cup winning teams have lost friendlies before the World Cup, and then they didn't really phase them. Or maybe it did phase them. Maybe that motivated them to do better. But either way, it didn't derail them all the way. There's been examples of them losing and then going on and winning. Do you think that these, depending on how we play, I mean, either good or bad, could it change our confidence, or do you think we'll be the same no matter what?
No, I don't think so. I mean, unless we really get pummeled. You're going into a group stage in the World Cup where you're fully expected to beat the teams in your group for the most part. And it won't help if we get our asses handed to us. It's going to hurt confidence. But keep in mind, we are missing, I think, two important players as we go into this. So I don't really see this as the ultimate lineup. We are missing Dest. And maybe Dest won't even be healthy for the World Cup. We don't really know. But we're also missing Adams, who is not only kind of the backbone in front of the back line, he's also a leader. So those are two important misses right now. So we'll see how Timothy Weah does playing as a right wing back. Be really interesting to see how that works out. And then, obviously Cardoso and Tessman might be covering the Adams spots. We'll see how that goes and how Poch lines up. So I think either way, and I don't think we're going to get smashed. But if we don't play well and we lose both games, that's going to be a little disappointing, especially for a lot of people tuning in. These have been billed as World Cup preview matches, right? I think we're going to have a big audience there. I'd like them to be a little more impressive because it's going to build the fan excitement and expectations for the World Cup. So I hope they go out there, they don't play nervous, and they get some amount of work done that allows us to say as fans, this looks okay. This looks pretty good. I think the momentum from Uruguay is still there. So that's what I think we're all looking for as we move forward. But even if we get crushed, that will not be good. But I still think we go into the World Cup thinking, okay, we had a bad window. Dest wasn't there, though, and Adams wasn't there, and they're back. I think we're a different team. I think we'll do fine in the group. So you can get past friendlies. You can. Unless you get totally humiliated, which
I don't know if you heard that, but it's like someone said a burnout in your background.
Yes,
yeah, that's funny. But no, I agree with that. I think that maybe our team's confidence won't be shattered if we get, for the most part. But
Yeah,
I feel like maybe my confidence could be shattered a little bit just because you want to go, even if you start out slow, you want to end on a high note. Even if the process was bad and there was a lot of camps or tournaments that the USMNT played under Pochettino, not tournaments, it's only been one, but games that maybe we weren't impressed. You want it to go up as time goes on. You want to have a good positive feeling heading into this tournament. So I guess it really depends on how they play, not necessarily what the score line is. It's going to have me going either way. So I guess we'll see. But so you said that there's two guys missing, obviously Tyler Adams and Sergio Dest. Big pieces, huge pieces, two lock starters.
Yep.
Now, there were a couple, we're going to bring this up to the roster. There were a couple guys that maybe people were shocked that didn't make the team and stuff like that. So I guess I'm asking, who is still fighting for spots? Or, you said that this is pretty much going to be the roster we're going to see in the summer. Is there anybody that you think is still fringe fighting for a spot, or do you think it's pretty much set in stone?
I think there are going to be two guys dropped from this roster, and Dest and Adams will be added. Sadly for Zendejas, through no fault of his own, we're just overloaded right now with 10s. And so just not going to squeeze in. Same thing for Luna. I think you add Dest and Adams in here and you drop the one goalkeeper. You might have space for one more. All right. But two of these guys for sure are going, and one of the goalkeepers is going. So, because I do think Dest and Adams, if healthy, are on this team. So we're talking about elimination here, not addition at this point. I really don't see it happening. This is kind of the last hurrah. I can't think of a single player, not Musa, not anyone, who's going to make this roster that isn't on it already once Dest and Adams are healthy. I might be wrong. It might be Haji Wright. I mean, I'll put him on there because he's injured too. So we can put Dest, Adams, and Haji Wright on there. I think Haji's probably shaking his boots thinking, oh my God, I didn't make it because of this injury. Now, Haji can go in there and score 2 winning headers in the last 15 minutes of both games, and I'm out because I'm not as tall as Haji, and I'm not the same physical specimen as Haji, and we got plenty of 10s, so they don't need me to play an outside role because we don't play wingers much. So I play winger and I play striker, and I could play a 10. They don't need another striker if they picked Haji. They don't need a winger because we don't play wingers. We play left wing backs and right wing backs. I'm out of a job. So I guess Haji's probably, he's not probably going to say this, but subconsciously, I'm sure in the back of his mind is like, please God, do not let Ajimon be ball out in these two friendlies for whatever amount of minutes he gets. Please God, do not let him score 2 goals or whatever it'll take to make Poch go, you know what? It's Pepe, Balogun, and Ajimon. And Haji's got to go because Ajimon gives us something that no other guy can give us, which is he's tall as hell, should be playing basketball, and he's great in the box, and he can head the damn ball. So outside of that, I just don't see. Do you have anybody in mind you think still could creep in here?
Well, I was going to mention about Gio Reyna. He's only played 466 minutes since he's been at Gladbach.
Coach doesn't care, though.
Well, I do think that that's true, but then in a sense, he really does. And I'm not saying that this is my opinion, like I would do this. I think you bring Gio Reyna just because of what he could do, not necessarily what he is going to do. But I think that Poch really has affinities for certain players. Like I think he loves Diego Luna. So the reason I say that, I think he loves him as a person, a player. Like I do.
Okay. I'll go along with that.
And I think that because he has been in bad form and he hasn't really played much lately because of injury and stuff, he's trying to regain form before the World Cup. But Reyna hasn't played a game in 3 months. He's only played 466 minutes this season.
Yep.
And I think that Luna just has a better relationship with Poch.
I disagree with that, though.
You think Reyna has a better relationship with Poch?
I don't think it's about relationships. I think in the last interview with Poch, what did he say about Diego Luna? He said, well, in the last few times we called Diego Luna up, he had a hard time fitting in with our new setup, which we're going to play from here on out, I would assume, which is 3 in the back. He just didn't seem to quite find his place. That's what he said. I don't see how Luna changes that by scoring any goals for RSL going forward. And what did Reyna do when he came in November? He kicked butt. And what did Poch say about Reyna in the interview when they asked him, well, why is he here? He doesn't play for Gladbach. He's like, well, some guys are just special. And I can't treat it. I'm sorry, I can't treat everyone the same, is what he said. This guy's a special player. I think that answers your questions. And I don't care if he'd rather have a beer with Diego Luna every night at the bar and would rather not have to talk to Reyna at all. He understands in the last 15 minutes of a game that you need a goal. Gio Reyna is the guy that unlocks that key. Balogun loves Gio Reyna. Pulisic says, without Gio Reyna, this team's not complete. Yeah, it's not really a matter of how much you like the people at this point. Now you're looking for guys that can make a difference. Now, Pete, in his little layout today, was like, well, I think Reyna should start the first game. He's not starting. I love you, Pete, but he's not starting any game. He's not, maybe the second one, but I even doubt that. He's not match fit. He hasn't played a game for months.
3 months.
Okay? Yeah, he's not starting the first game. There is no way. I put my money on it. All right? There's no way he's starting the first game. He's not fit. So unless you plan to play him for 45 minutes and yank him at halftime, I suppose you could do that. Doesn't seem very productive. But, yeah, they go play Tillman for 60, 65 minutes and throw Reyna on after that. So that makes sense to me, at least. I don't know if it does to anybody else, but it does.
Well, so we're ideally going to play the 3-4-2-1, right? That's what we're probably going to play.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to have the double 10. What we're going to have, it's probably going to be Pulisic and Tillman playing next to each other.
That would be my prediction. Yes.
And then Balo's going to be up top.
Yep.
So who is going to play next to? I mean, Cardoso is obviously going to get a chance to play next to Adams. If Adams is healthy, that's who would be playing next to him. Who do you think is going to slide into that spot if Cardoso doesn't live up to the moment? Like, who would you put next to Adams? McKennie? McKennie, right?
Well, Adams is going to be there, number one, but it's probably McKennie, right? That's more of an 8 rather than a 6. I think Tessman and Cardoso are your 6s in this roster.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to be the holding mids.
Yeah.
And then you'll have an 8 playing next to them who has a little more freedom to go forward, but not a lot. Has to be very, contemplative about how they decide in their decision making, like when you go forward and when you hold. So, yeah, I think that's how it'll look. I mean, listen, if I'm Poch, I'm really tempted to start Cardoso and Tessman next together and put McKennie up top and let Tillman and Reyna sit the bench first game. The way that McKennie has operated with Juve this season.
I was going to say, because he's been like one of their best players in the attack, right? I mean, he's been balling out. Some people say he's been their best player all season.
No, he has. I haven't missed a game.
Yeah.
And Poch was right to say there's McKennie and there are 10 other players on Juve. And that's probably true. Not all games, but a lot of games. And so, and then you have, the Juventus coach says the same thing, basically. He's every man. He does everything we need. And so I would not be shocked if the lineup was next to Pulisic, McKennie, and Reyna and Tillman take a seat. I mean, listen, Tillman hasn't blown anybody's you-know-what off this season playing for Leverkusen.
Mm-hmm.
He just hasn't. I'm sorry. I've watched all those games too. They've been rather, okay, meh, MEH, baby. I mean, it's been like, especially for Leverkusen, they spent, 40 plus on this guy. And he is not taking any one of the cleaners on a regular basis this season. He's been good. He's been fine. He's not looked out of place. He's just, for a guy they spent that much money on, he is not rocking the house. Okay. So if right now I'm looking at guys that are rocking the house and playing consistent and going forward, that's McKennie. I put McKennie and Pulisic next to each other to start the first game and have Tessman and Cardoso work that double pivot. I mean, and the other option is to put Tillman in and move McKennie back next to Cardoso
Adams.
or Tessman.
Yeah.
No Adams.
What
no
you're
Adams.
talking about?
No.
Well, I'm talking about for the World Cup, but yes, for this. I'm just talking about big picture, having next Adams. Yes, just to get as many pieces as you can on the pitch, like being creative and trying to get all the best players as you possibly can.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I think the roster's pretty much set. I don't really see too many things. Like, I do think a lot of guys have missed out. It's so funny when you think about it. It feels like a lot of guys have missed on the opportunity, but there's been so many of them that Poch is essentially having to pick between guys that really hasn't seized the moment. Yeah. So I do think if everyone kind of looks the same, you take the guy who's the most talented. And when I say look the same, I mean like not showing you anything that blows you away. You just take the guy who you think has the highest ceiling. And that's definitely Reyna when we're talking about the attacking midfielders. Reyna has a higher ceiling than Zendejas. He has a higher ceiling than Luna. So I would take him. And I also wanted to mention, too, just because we're talking about, fighting for spots, Noah Kai Banks. Did you want to touch on that real quick? Because obviously there's been, there's been a lot of people upset about this. And you mentioned to me before the show about Landon Donovan's comments that's got people kind of stirred the pot a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I just summarized it. I get it. I don't think Landon necessarily said anything that wrong. He said, I'm not taking this personally. He can do what doesn't. I'm not mad at him, is what he said. But he said, hey, sayonara. I'm done with caring about Noah Banks. That's fine. His frustration, if that's where he's at with his frustration, if he wants to say that, that's fine. I do think that Noah Kai Banks, if he skips this World Cup, which he's going to do, I can 100% guarantee it, because he's not going to Germany. Germany's not taking him. And he waits around for the next World Cup for Germany, and he maybe gets called up here and there for some friendlies or whatever by Germany, but never really strikes a chord. And by the way, Banks got a long way to go to be a Germany player. I think he may have gotten a little too high on himself after a phone call from the German coach and said, whoa, he told me there's a chance I could play in the next World Cup for Germany. That's what we hear. And that probably titillated him. I'm sure it did. It's honey in the ear. But there are going to be a lot of fans that are going to be, I don't want him. He didn't want to play for us in a World Cup. Screw that guy. I don't feel that way. I'm like, whatever. I don't care. He didn't. I wish him the best. But yeah, I'm not going to get emotionally wrapped up in it. I think there are people who are angry about it. And I guess if that's where you're at, I'm not going to change your mind. Go ahead and be angry. But at the same time, to call others calling Landon Donovan a xenophobe because he told Banks good riddance. Can we be a little bit more classy about when we decide to start calling people names? And I'm not. Landon Donovan's not a really good he doesn't have a lot of great takes on soccer. He just doesn't. He's being a pundit, fairly new to him. But I'm not hammering from that. That's just how he feels. He's not a xenophobe. He's Canadian, half Canadian, for crying out loud. So let's not go do we always have to stretch and take it to the name calling thing? He's done with Banks. He said he's not even mad about it. So that's my take on it.
Well, just to touch on that last part you just said, if he had played for us, he would have said nothing. Like, he would have been like, okay, we're welcoming. He's only saying that not because of anything to do where he's from or anything like that. It's just he's saying that because he's essentially saying, if you don't want to be a part of this, then we don't want you to be a part of this. That's all he's saying. That's
all he's saying. And by the way, Banks' father's American. He's American.
Exactly.
He'd be a xenophobe against an American. He's just saying, hey, you're split two ways. Follow your heart. He said that. Follow your passion. That's what Donovan said. I mean, I'm not a massive Donovan guy that's going to come out here and defend Donovan, but come on, people. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, he He's just saying if your heart's not in it, we don't want you on it. Like that's. I mean, I just don't understand why people can't interpret that correctly.
What they point to is like when he was on the CBS show with Dempsey and all, he's like, well, there's some German players who made the team when I got cut, who their hearts weren't really in it, and I knew it. Well, I don't know how he really knows that, unless those German players, I don't know who it would be. I guess Julian Green would be my guess.
Yeah.
You don't know what's really in those folks' hearts. I mean, Julie Green was a teenager.
Yeah, he was 18 years old or 19 years old. Yeah.
So you cannot accuse 18, 17, 19, whatever Julian Green is at the time of not being passionate about the team. I totally disagreed with cutting Donovan from that World Cup. But for Donovan to use his own people get really wrapped up in their own experiences, and they can't get past that. If you can't get past that, you're not going to be a very good pundit. It's like Jimmy Conrad being so, and I love Jimmy, but he is so invested in January camp. Okay, dude, I get it. That's where you got your big chance. But you can't push that into all your other further judgments going forward about how worthy January camp is. It's not like it was when you were there. January camp is not much of anything anymore. And it's not as important as it used to be. So people need to get out of their own seats and get into another seat and look more objectively at it instead of so subjectively. Sorry, I'm just like, I feel like I'm throwing out pot shots here at people, but honestly, that's an issue with Donovan's criticism here.
No, I agree. So hopefully people will hear this and, maybe feel a little bit better about that comment that he made. Okay. So one player each. Okay. I'm gonna name one player. You name one player for each of these. Stock up, stock down, for this camp, or these players heading to the camp. I'm going to start first with stock down, and I'll let you go with your stock down. We'll be more positive and go stock up. I think heading this camp, my stock down is Christian Pulisic. I don't think he's been playing very well the last couple months. He hasn't scored a goal since December, Derek.
He was pretty good last game, though.
Well, but he hasn't put together like what we saw at the beginning of the season. Like he hasn't been.
No, I get it. Yeah.
He's not playing nearly as good as he was beginning of the year. And I talked about it earlier. You want to see the momentum heading into this, not before, the momentum at the beginning of the season and then slow down. Like you would want him to be playing his best football heading into this World Cup. And I just don't think anyone can say he's playing his best football heading into this as of right now. Now he has 2 months left to play. Obviously he can maybe turn it up, but I just don't think that this is the best version of Pulisic that we've seen this year.
So that is true. Coming back from the whatever niggling little injury he's been having, things haven't been great. He's not been scoring a lot, but I did watch the last game, and we all know how streaky he is. He got the assist. I think he played well all game long, and so I do think it's kind of weird. You can really build a lot of confidence off of one good game. I wish he had scored too. That would have been another bonus for that game.
Oh yeah,
the last AC Milan game. So we'll see how that carries over. Actually, he's like not my worry really. If I had to worry about one guy, he's not my worry. I think he'll be fine, unless he tries to play Superman ball, which he's actually said publicly in interviews. He knows he doesn't have to do that anymore. So I don't think we're going to see that out of him either. Although I would like to see him, while not playing Superman ball, take some people on. That's what I would like to see, one-on-one. He used to do that. He doesn't do that as much as he used to.
So who would your stock down be?
My biggest worry for this camp, and it's not because he's not physically capable, is Cardoso. And that goes with the obvious concern with Tim Ream and the whole back line and the goalkeeper, which I'm not going to go back into because we already discussed it. But if I had one other player, I'm like, oof. This is heavy, and this is going to be weighing on him. He's never had a good performance for the U.S. men's national team, ever. He's had mediocre to, well, you didn't do anything horrible, to you did horrible stuff. So this is a guy who plays for one of the best teams in Spain, plays in Champions League, who's got to be nervous knowing this is his last go. because there are other people. Adams is coming in, so somebody on this team in the midfield is going away. And that's really between him, Morris, and I don't know, Berhalter, Roldan. I'm nervous if I'm him because I'm like, I got to show I'm competent with this team. I fit into this team. I understand what the coach wants. And I'm not going to make any stupid errors, mental errors. So I'm sure he's nervous. Out of all the players on this team, he's got to be the most nervous guy on the team.
Well, and I want to say, too, real quick, we did talk about Tim Ream and the goalkeeping. And obviously, people will say, oh, Will, you're out of your mind. Of course, that's the biggest stock down. The only reason I have Pulisic as my stock down, too, is because, like I said, he's not playing the best ball we've seen all season. And he is just such an important piece into the equation. So that's why I say stock down and it matters so much. Of course, Tim Ream is very concerning. Of course, Matt Freese is very concerning. But Pulisic is a guy that can be the difference maker. And if we win a huge game or lose a huge game, he's that kind of difference maker. So that's why I say that. Now, as far as stock up players, I think maybe we might have different answers on this. My stock up is Balogun. He has scored 5 goals in his last 5 league games. I think he is red hot right now. I think this is some of the best soccer he's played that I've seen last year, I think, or two. Yeah. And I think that's exactly what you want, momentum, kind of like what I was saying about Pulisic. This is the momentum you would want heading into the World Cup. And I think that having him in this form, because we got to have someone who can score goals, Derek, or we're not going to win any games. We got to have a goal scoring threat up top. Yeah. And he is that guy right now. So
he's number one. Yep.
He's my biggest stock up right now for the
USMNT. No doubt about it. He's hot. The other guy that's really hot in stock up and in the best form and shape, and most importantly, the best shape of his life is Weston McKennie.
I thought that's who you were going to say.
Yeah. He's just, this is the best, stretch of play and time that we have seen from McKennie for a long time. He came into the season on fire. He looks healthy. He just got rid of the pouch, the little thing he used to carry around, his little gut, that's gone. He said, it took me to do one of the commercials or whatever to realize how fat I was. And then, that and my teammate or my coach telling me I was fat or overweight or whatever, not in my best shape. And even that little big pudgy face we used to have is smaller. So this guy is firing on all cylinders right now. And this is really good for us because this is a guy who can play a gazillion positions in a pinch if we need him to. And that's sometimes a negative because you want him to have one position he's just really great at. But, he's really great in the air, great header of the ball, has a really he doesn't lose the ball. People just take the ball away from McKennie. That doesn't happen. He's really smart about possession. Yeah, this is a good run for McKennie. This might be the best McKennie we've ever had on this team. So, yeah.
Motivated McKennie is a different animal. Like he is. It's just, we saw it, 2-3 years ago when they gave away his locker, his parking spot, his number. The guy was on a different tear. Then he obviously had the bad Copa America. And, but I think when Juve puts his back against the wall, he always lives up to the moment. So it's like I said with Ballo, it's like I said, it's, you want your player to be in this type of form heading into this, like that type of riding that momentum. Yeah. So I agree. I think Ballo and McKennie are the two pillars right now of why I would feel pretty confident about us having a puncher's chance against some of the big dogs in this tournament. Right. Okay, so my final question. If the World Cup started tomorrow, which it's pretty damn close, right?
It is. It really is.
Are we ready?
I don't know if we're going to know that even after the group stage. Unless we completely fall to pieces at the group stage, which, wow, that seems really hard to see right now. I think we're only going to know that once we play one of the big boys in the knockout round, right? I think that's when we're going to figure out Were we just happy to get this far? Or are we really here to shock the world and do something amazing? And so that's when we're going to find that out, Will. That's when it's going to happen. So, yeah, I think that's the bottom line.
I am TBD. There's just so much unknowns. Now, I will say this. I do think that if we, you said we might not know until even after the group stage and, when the World Cup already starts, but I do think that we can have some takeaways from these two friendlies that will let us know, because I think it's more like, it's not a result. It's an eye test. I feel like it's just something you see.
You're
like,
right.
It's like, if you see the ball and it's just playing like they're playing collective, beautiful ball, and they just look like they're firing on all cylinders. It's like, if I see that, I'll know. And then I will know that they're ready. But I just have to see it. I have to see them play one of these two teams that are, some of the better teams we played in the Poch era. Some of the better teams that he's playing the Poch. Some, I do think that Portugal is probably the best team we played in the Poch era. I actually rate them higher than Uruguay. Personally, I think they're better. Plus, I think that Uruguay game we played, they didn't have all their starters. I think it was like maybe their second team.
They were missing a couple, like 3 players. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this Portugal team.
It wasn't their second team, though. I would disagree with that.
So you think it's probably more closer to first team and second team. But still, I do think this Portugal team we're going to play is probably going to be their A team. Yeah. I think this is going to be their A team. So,
well, minus Ronaldo.
Some people say it's still the A team, though, because they say maybe he's, maybe
he's been playing, though. So I wouldn't say that. And yeah, okay, so you're missing Ronaldo. I think you might be missing one other player. But you're right. This is a good Portuguese team.
Yeah.
I mean, I would not still put Portugal in the big dog territory. I think the big dogs are France, Argentina, and Spain. And I don't even think, I wouldn't put Germany in big dog. Maybe England's really close to being big dog. But I think Portugal's kind of like right there with England in the almost. But I do think they're beatable. I don't think they're impenetrable. I don't think they're perfect. And no team's perfect, but I think they're far enough away from being perfect. I do think our team, here's what I would ask you. Have you seen any sign since we moved to a back 3/5, whatever you want to call it, the 3-4-2-1, that we're just going to fall apart? Because I haven't since we moved to that formation. So I would be frankly shocked if we fell apart in these friendlies and looked that bad. So I don't expect that to happen. Not to say it's not possible. But I don't think we're going to look like, I'd be really shocked if we looked dreadful. I really would at this point.
Yeah, I just don't really want to have, I know it sounds bad, but I just want to, I do want to have expectations, because I feel like if you don't have any expectations, then you're like kind of just like, maybe not holding someone to a certain standard. But I just want to watch these two friendlies with an open mind, just see what happens. And then just I think, like I said, I will know after I've seen it.
Yes.
One way or the other.
Yeah. We need to be competitive.
Yes.
That's, I guess that's the word, right?
Yeah.
Did we go there, and were we competitive, and did we look sound?
Yeah.
And if those things aren't there, now time for concern, especially if it happens 2 games in a row.
Yes.
You're like, holy crap, we look completely discombobulated. Nobody seems to know what they're doing. We're leaking goals like crazy in the back. Mac Freeze looks like his brain's frozen. Yeah, then we got problems, right? Now, all those things are possible. They are possible, Will. I don't think since we moved to a back 3/5 that we've looked that way. So I hope it not to be the case. But we all know, we both can agree on what the major concerns are on the team. Most of it lies in the back. So,
Yes. Well, we will see. The first game is on Saturday. It's really close. And game 2 will be on Tuesday. we're going to know very soon. I'm excited and nervous a little bit, but that's not a bad thing. Like, you just kind of like, it's here, right? The moment is here. Derek, we will see what happens, my friend. I appreciate you for coming on. I'm going to send you or Brett a collab invite, which you can do now to where it shows both channels. So that way that, we are both of our pages can see that we were on this together, which is cool.
Yeah.
But where can the people watch yours and Brett's live show at and what time?
So we are on every Monday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the Straight Red Card on YouTube. We will be covering the game live on Saturday. We'll be doing a live watch along. And we will probably get back to our usual schedule, which is Monday and Thursdays, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you've been on with us, so you know.
Yes. Yeah. So for all you guys, make sure you check them out 8:15 every single Monday. And then when the season's in full swing and there's a lot of stuff going on, Thursdays as well. My favorite guys covering the USMNT that just make it fun, right? Like they got a good sense of humor. They're just there hanging out. Love these guys. Go check them out. Derek, I appreciate it as always, my friend.
Same
May
here,
God have mercy on our soul. And let's hope that we can have some positive things to talk about next week.
May that be so. Make it so.
Guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure you give it a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of our videos. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.